Have you ever stopped to think how many times you've carried the weight of the world on your shoulders? How many nights you've laid down with a restless heart, asking yourself, why do I feel so deeply? Why is it so hard? Today, I want to invite you to take a step that could change everything. And I don't say this lightly. I say this grounded in millennia of spiritual wisdom and years of performance science. There is a path. There is a way out. There is a state of consciousness in which suffering dissolves, and success, the true kind, the quiet kind, the fulfilling kind, begins to bloom. And that path begins now. Suffering, the invisible prison that stops us from living. We live in an age where everything seems within reach. Knowledge, connections, opportunities. And yet, we've never been so lost within ourselves. Modern suffering is not just physical. It's mental, emotional, silent. But you know what's even more curious? Most of that suffering is born from within. It's not the outer world that destroys us. It's the way we interpret that world. And this is where ancient wisdom steps in. The teachings of the Buddha, the path of mindfulness, and the practice of meditation as a bridge between suffering and liberation. But after all, what is suffering? In Buddhism, suffering is called dukkha. But dukkha doesn't just mean physical pain or emotional sadness. Dukkha is a constant sense of dissatisfaction, that restless feeling that never quite goes away, that inner voice whispering that something is always missing. Have you ever felt that? That promotion that comes and quickly loses its shine. That relationship that seemed perfect, but soon turns into a soulless routine. That dream you finally achieve, yet it doesn't taste the way you imagined. Suffering is this eternal almost. And the first step to eliminating it is facing it directly. No masks, no distractions, just presence. Why talk about suffering when we want success? That's a powerful question. And here's the answer. There's no real success without the inner transformation of suffering. Many of us confuse success with external achievements. But true success is internal. It's the ability to remain in peace amidst chaos. It's being whole, even when the world is falling apart. Buddha was not a businessman, not a performance coach, but he was a master of the mind. And what he discovered, centuries before neuroscience, is that the key to real success lies in the way we relate to our own mind. The first step, observing suffering without judgment. Think of it like a high-performance athlete. They don't ignore pain. They study it, understand it, accept it in order to overcome it. In the spiritual journey, it's exactly the same. When you stop fighting your pain and begin to observe it with mindful attention, something magical happens. It begins to lose its power over you. And that's when the real training begins. High performance is not about doing more. It's about being more. We live in a culture of toxic productivity. Work more, run faster, achieve more. But what if the secret lies in silence? The greatest leaders, athletes, and visionaries in the world today practice meditation. Not because it's a trend, but because they discover that mastery of the mind is a foundation of lasting success. Meditation is a laboratory of self-knowledge. There, you meet yourself. There, you learn to handle inner chaos. There, you see that suffering is not the enemy. It's a teacher. What if suffering is a teacher in disguise? Yes, this may be one of the most liberating truths you'll hear today. Suffering is an invitation to transformation. Every time you suffer, your soul is showing you something. Something that needs to be seen. Something that needs healing. Something that needs releasing. And when you begin to listen, you begin to transform. You are not alone on this journey. Maybe you're hearing all this and feeling a mix of relief and challenge. Relief in knowing there is a way out. challenge in realizing that it begins within you. But I want to tell you, you are not alone. This channel is a space of awareness, of depth, of truth, and I now invite you to become part of this consciously and actively. Your mind is a garden. Your thoughts are the seeds. You can grow flowers or weeds. Buddha, now that we've taken the first step, recognizing that suffering exists and that there's a path to overcome it, it's time to go deeper, to dive in, to reach the root, because that's how real transformation works. From the inside out, the 3 roots of suffering: desire, aversion, and ignorance. According to Buddhism, all suffering stems from 3 roots: desire, tanha, aversion, dosa, and ignorance, moha. And if you stop to reflect, everything that disturbs you fits into one of these 3 categories. Desire, the insatiable thirst for something we don't have. It could be success, money, love, status. But the more you chase it, the further away it seems. It's like drinking salt water. The more you drink, the thirstier you become. Aversion, the urge to run away from what bothers us. Pain, failure, criticism, fear. We want to protect ourselves. But by running away, we become slaves to what we avoid. Ignorance, the inability to see reality as it is. We confuse thoughts with facts, emotions with truth, and we live in a mental maze built by our own minds. Now tell me, which of these 3 roots do you feel is taking you furthest from peace? Share it in the comments. This reflection alone is already an act of courage. The role of the mind, our greatest ally or our worst enemy. Our mind is an incredibly powerful tool, but without training, it becomes a wild beast. Restless, impulsive, self-destructive. Have you noticed how most of our pain arises from thoughts we believe without question? I'm not good enough. I need this to be happy. I'll never make it. These thoughts repeat like internal mantras, creating a loop of suffering. But here's the key. Thoughts are not truths. They are just mental events. And you don't have to believe every one of them. Mindfulness, the practice that heals. Mindfulness, the famous practice of present moment awareness, is the antidote to the suffering mind. It's a training of presence, the act of simply being here, now, with all that exists, without rejecting, without clinging. Picture this for a moment. You are sitting in silence, watching your thoughts drift by like clouds in the sky, not chasing them, not pushing them away, just allowing, just breathing. It's in this space that suffering begins to dissolve, because suffering needs resistance to exist. And when you stop resisting, it loses its power. Suffering only exists in psychological time. Eckhart Tolle, author of The Power of Now, explains something fascinating. Suffering lives in the past and the future, never in the present. When you're suffering, you're stuck in memories or expectations, reliving old wounds or anticipating future pain. But when you return to the now, with awareness, with presence, suffering loses its ground. That's why the daily practice of meditation is not a luxury. It's a necessity for those who want to perform well in life, for those who want to live with clarity, peace, and purpose. Success begins when suffering no longer drives your decisions. Think about it. How many decisions have you made driven by pain? How often have you chased success just to escape a feeling of not being enough? True success arises when you're no longer acting out of emotional impulse, but out of wisdom. When you're not reacting to pain, but creating from a state of presence. And that's when high performance gains new meaning. It's not about doing more. It's about doing with intention, with purpose, with peace, turning suffering into fuel for growth. Yes, it's possible. Suffering can be transmuted, but to do so, you need to change the question. Instead of asking, white right pointing backhand index, why is this happening to me? Ask, white right pointing backhand index, what is this trying to teach me? White right pointing backhand index, how can I grow from this pain? White right pointing backhand index, in what way can I use this to help others? When you change a question, you change the energy. And when you change the energy, you change the direction of your life. A real example, the lotus that blooms from the mud. In Buddhism, the lotus flower is a sacred symbol, and it's no coincidence. It grows from the mud, from the dark, dirty bottom of still waters. But even there, it rises until it touches the light. You can be like the lotus. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what you've been through. You can bloom. And when you bloom, you inspire others to do the same. Have you ever stopped to listen to what your suffering is trying to tell you? Maybe it's asking you to slow down. Maybe it's crying out for a moment of silence. Maybe it's pointing towards your life's purpose. That's why, right now, I invite you to ## 5 minutes. Just 5. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Watch your thoughts like someone watching a river flow. Don't fight. Don't control. Just observe. And then, with an open heart, share below. What did you feel during this exercise? What surfaced? Your words might touch someone. They might be the key someone else has been waiting for. We're just getting started. If, up to this point, you've begun to feel that something deeper is calling you, then get ready. Because in the next stage, we'll step into the first climax, the moment when everything changes. We'll explore the power of emotional turning points, the internal liberation that can happen in a single second of awareness. Just as fire purifies gold, suffering purifies the spirit. Buddhist proverb. Do you remember the exact moment pain broke you inside? That loss, that rejection, that emptiness in the chest that seemed never-ending. Yes, we all have that point, that wound, that instant when it felt like the world collapsed. And this is where the climax of our journey begins, transformation, because there's one choice that changes everything. You can keep running from pain, or you can walk through it. This is one of the most important decisions of your life. Running from pain, like most people do, is living as its prisoner. It's running in circles. It's numbing yourself with overwork, social media, food, anything, just to avoid feeling. But walking through the pain, that's different. To walk through it is to enter the darkness with courage, to look at the wound and say, I see you, and then something happens, something mysterious, something sacred. The pain dissolves, and in its place, strength emerges. 1 second of awareness can change an entire lifetime. It may sound exaggerated, but it's real. Some people spend decades trapped in the same patterns, the same inner story, but in 1 second of clarity, everything can change. A single moment of lucidity can release years of suffering. You know that moment when you take a breath and realize, I no longer need to identify with this pain. I am more than this. It's like waking up from a nightmare, and from that moment on, you begin to truly live. Pain didn't come to destroy you. It came to wake you up. Have you ever thought about that? Pain shouts because you ignored the whispers. It doesn't want to hurt you. It wants to show you what you couldn't see. It wants to free you from illusion. And here's a powerful truth. The more conscious you become, the less you suffer. Not because life becomes easier, but because you stop resisting. You begin to flow. You understand that even pain is part of the path, and that That is liberation. Testimony, the silence that healed a life. Let me tell you a true story. A man named Raphael went through 3 years of deep depression. He lost everything: his job, his relationship, his sense of identity. He tried everything: therapy, medication, travel, but nothing seemed to fill the void. Until one day, almost by accident, he decided to meditate. Just 5 minutes. At first, everything hurt. The silence was deafening, but he kept going, day after day. And at a certain moment, while observing his own tears during meditation, he realized, I am not this pain. I am simply feeling it. And that's okay. He began to cry in a different way. It was no longer despair. It was release. And from that point on, his life changed. Today, Raphael helps others find peace. And it all began with 1 second of presence. Now tell me, how many seconds are you willing to give to yourself? The ego trap of success. Many people chase success to prove something to the world, to show they made it, that they are strong, that they are better. But that kind of success is fragile because it's born from fear, from pride, from emptiness. True success is born from silence, from peace, from a mind that no longer needs to prove anything, from a heart that already feels whole. That's why the climax here isn't an external achievement. It's an internal shift. It's a break from the old self. It's the rebirth of someone who no longer carries invisible chains. Breathe now. Close your eyes. Feel this. You don't need to run anymore. You don't need to escape. You don't need to carry the weight of the world. Breathe now. Close your eyes. Feel this. You don't need to run anymore. You don't need to escape. You don't need to carry the weight of the world. Right now, in this exact moment, you can let go, release the burden, surrender the struggle, and simply be. This is the miracle of presence. This is the shift that transforms. And this is why you are here. The beginning of self-compassion. When you realize that your suffering does not define you, you begin to treat yourself with more gentleness, more kindness, more love, and that changes everything. You stop punishing yourself. You begin to embrace yourself. And when you embrace yourself, you begin to bloom. True high performance isn't born from pressure. It's born from compassion, from care, from the awareness that you are being in progress, in motion, in expansion. A call to courage. Share your truth. At this point in the journey, I want to invite you to do something powerful. Comment below, what was the hardest moment of your life? And what did it teach you? Your pain holds value. Your story holds light. And when you share, you heal yourself and help others heal too. We are reaching the heart of the journey. If you've made it this far, it's because something inside you is longing for more. A new level of clarity, of truth, of transformation. In the next phase, the second climax, we'll rise even higher. We'll move from darkness into light. We'll talk about deep emotional release, the rise of consciousness, and the union of spirituality and practical performance. It will be intense. It will be sacred. The moment you stop resisting life, the universe begins to work in your favor. Buddha, imagine for a moment that all the weight you've been carrying, fear, guilt, frustration, anger, anxiety, begins to dissolve like smoke, slowly but surely. Now imagine that in place of that weight, something new is born. Peace, clarity, presence. Sounds magical? It's real. And it happens when you understand the most liberating truth of all. Sparkles, you are not your suffering. You are the awareness observing it. The illusion of the wounded self. Throughout life, We build an identity based on our pain. We cling to labels. I'm anxious. I'm impulsive. I'm insecure. And those labels become armor, masks, limitations. But what if I told you you are none of that? Those traits are just mental conditionings, the result of a story your mind has told on repeat. They exist, but they do not define who you are. You are something far greater, subtler, and quieter. You are pure awareness. You are the witness of it all. And when this truth enters, not as a concept, but as experience, everything changes. The inner death that sets you free. Every true awakening is preceded by a death, not a physical one, but the death of an identity. The moment you stop trying to control everything, the moment you stop needing to be someone, the moment you surrender, that's when your soul begins to whisper. There's nothing to achieve, just return home. Home is not a place. It's a state of presence. It's a return to your true self, beyond thoughts, beyond roles, beyond fear. From silence, a new you is born. In the silence of deep meditation, something begins to shift. You realize that the thoughts running through your mind are not you. They're just clouds. You are the sky. You realize that the emotions that once overwhelmed you are waves. You are the ocean. And in that awareness, there is peace. Not the peace of everything being perfect, but the peace of no longer needing things to be perfect in order to feel whole. Spiritual awakening is not escapism. It's the ultimate performance hack. When you live from presence, your productivity doubles, your focus sharpens, your decisions become clear, and most importantly, your life starts to flow. No more forcing, no more burnout, no more self-sabotage. You become a channel, not a controller. And that's the most powerful state you can operate from. Ask yourself this now. What would happen if I stopped resisting life? What would happen if I allowed myself to feel, heal, and flow instead of fighting? What would happen if I fully trusted the intelligence of the present moment? You don't need to answer right away. Just breathe, feel the question, and let the truth arise. This is the turning point. You're no longer here to become someone. You're here to remember who you already are. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are exactly where you need to be. And this moment, right now, is sacred. Let it touch you. Let it wake you up. Let it break you open. The portal is now open. From this point forward, life will never be the same. Not because the world changed, but because you did. And that's where all true transformation begins. Now tell me, are you ready for the final step? The integration, the embodiment, the true freedom? Integration is where the magic happens. Awakening is not a peak moment. It's a daily practice. It's breathing consciously while brushing your teeth. It's observing your emotions in a meeting. It's choosing compassion when your ego wants to react. That's what we call embodied spirituality. It's when your inner peace begins to reflect in your actions, in your words, in your energy. You don't need to escape the world to be free. Freedom is not about running away to the mountains. It's about being still in the chaos. It's about smiling in the middle of uncertainty. It's about trusting that the universe is not against you. It's teaching you. And the more you listen, the clearer life becomes. The lighter your body feels. The more love you radiate. You are the light you've been searching for. You don't need more books. You don't need more strategies. You don't need more approval. What you need is to return to presence, again and again, one breath at a time. The rest unfolds naturally because you are no longer walking alone. You are walking with awareness. Final reflection. What will you do with this awareness? Now that you've reached the end of this journey, a question arises. How will you live differently after this? What will you change in your routine? What will you let go of? What will you forgive? What will you create? This is not a rhetorical question. It's an invitation to embody everything you've just remembered. Your presence is the greatest gift you can offer the world. You don't need to be famous. You don't need to be rich. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be here, fully, genuinely, consciously. That alone heals. That alone transforms. That alone inspires. If this message touched you, if it awakened something inside, glowing star, leave a comment below. What was your biggest realization during this video? Movie camera and subscribe for more content that feeds your soul and elevates your performance. Remember, you are not alone. You are not behind. You are awakening. And this is just the beginning.